As we observe Youth Month, I implore you to take the time to mentor someone, treat them with care and respect, and set a good example for them to follow. You're watching Jamaica Magazine, and I am Adrian Atkinson. On the show today, we look at the Jamaica Customs Agency's border protection strategies and share a few tips for managing your wealth. The information unfolds right now.
Do you own land and need a title? Well, the National Land Agency NLA can help. Through the systematic land registration process, the NLA will assist residents to get titles in declared project areas across Jamaica. Systematic land registration is the methodical and orderly registration of parcels of land in a designated area known as systematic adjudication area. For further information on the systematic land registration process, including declared systematic adjudication areas, who can apply and the benefits, visit the National Land Agency's website at www.nla.gov.jm or email asknla@nla.gov.jm. The National Land Agency, one goal.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, November 17, 2022. Cabinet has given approval for a constitutional reform committee to be established. This committee will play a key role in ensuring Jamaica's smooth transition to a republic. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahou-Fort, made the announcement in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. She says it will be a consultative and collaborative committee with representatives from the government and opposition, the Attorney General, and constitutional law experts, including persons from academia and the private sector. The body will be supported by a secretariat through the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. It will include the Permanent Secretary, the Director of Legal Reform and a technical team, the Chief Parliamentary Counsel and a technical team, Senior Director of Constitutional Reform, and a recording secretary. Minister Malahou-Fort says much of the groundwork required to move away from the monarchy has been done through previous constitutional reviews. With that in mind, this committee is to provide advice on the remaining work to be done and how the steps should be sequenced to implement those recommendations.
The starting point will see a focus on matters on which there is consensus, starting with those matters that are deeply entrenched.
She adds that the background documents to inform the work of the committee have been prepared.
So those recommendations of the Joint Select Committee on Constitutional and Electoral Reform, as well as the recommendations of the Constitutional Commission, will be placed before the committee for them to note, for them to look on, and for perspectives to be engaged on them.
The minister says the committee will examine the provisions of the Order in Council, the Constitution of Jamaica, and the Jamaica Independence Act, identify provisions that will require amendment, if any, and give effect to the reform recommendations. It will also advise and make recommendations on the shift from a constitutional monarchy to a republic, including the type of republic and the necessary powers to address Jamaica's governance challenges. It is expected that the committee members will be announced in December. Jamaica is now home to another 2 child-friendly spaces to assist child victims of human trafficking and other serious crimes. The 2 newest spaces launched on Tuesday have been established at the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM offices in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Now, these dedicated child-friendly spaces, what they'll do is to provide a safe and secure environment for child victims and witnesses of trafficking and other abuses. So when they are recounting their stories, it will prevent re-traumatization. Each suite will allow for easy access and use by the victims and witnesses who may have disabilities and other vulnerabilities.
They follow the launch of Jamaica's first ever child-friendly space in March, based out of the Falmouth Police Station in Trelawney. All 3 are a product of the U.S.-Jamaica Child Protection Compact CPC partnership, which was signed in 2018 to build on Jamaica's existing efforts to identify victims and prosecute and punish perpetrators of child trafficking, among other targets. It is being funded to the tune of $6.7 million from the U.S. Department of State's Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons, with the Jamaican government investing significant resources and personnel towards the initiative.
As part of the CPC, our law enforcement partners operating these child-friendly spaces have also received training in victim-centered, trauma-informed, and age-appropriate practices. We look forward to launching additional spaces in the coming months.
Indicom's commissioner says the services of registered intermediaries, such as sign language personnel and special educators, will also be made available through the child-friendly spaces. Government is rolling out a $50 million program this month to increase citizens' access to point-of-care testing for diabetes. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dunstan Bryan, says this is important for persons to improve monitoring and control of the illness.
Your A1C, HbA1c tests will soon be available in 128 health centers. We are providing the testing devices and the kits, the ICT equipment and software, and we are also providing over $30 million for the procurement of these pieces of equipment.
Mr. Bryan says a contract is in place for the purchase of 50,000 HbA1 tests, which are to be provided to the regional health authorities for the administration of testing. He says private providers engaged in the public-private partnership for NCDs have already started testing for public patients enrolled in that program. All 128 health centers will start testing this month. Approximately 10,000 residents are to benefit from the renovation and expansion of the Malvern and Newmarket Health Centres in St. Elizabeth. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton recently signed contracts for the upgrading of the facilities at a combined cost of $37 million. Maxwell Construction Limited will be renovating the Newmarket Health Centre at a cost of $5 million, while the Malvern Health Centre renovation will be done by Costly's Construction at a cost of $32 million. Minister Tufton says the ongoing investment in primary healthcare facilities forms part of a 10-year strategic plan to enhance the health sector. This, he says, is necessary to push preventative healthcare and curtail the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, which are responsible for 80% of deaths in Jamaica.
It's important because it really is what the people in the community depend on to get the basic care and the basic outreach in supporting prevention methods. And we have long felt that we need to invest more in community-based interventions for public health. And this is what this expenditure is doing.
And finally, $417,000 has been raised to build a pediatric clinic in St. Anne. The Issa Trust Foundation raised the funds from a benefit concert held in New York on November 12. It includes a $200,000 donation from international charity Direct Relief. The clinic will provide healthcare services for children and adolescents in St. Anne and surrounding parishes. Wife of the Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for St. Andrew East Rural, Juliet Holness, was patron of the fundraising event held in Manhattan. She expressed gratitude to the donors. President of the Issa Foundation, Diane Pollard, also expressed gratitude to those who supported the fundraising gala, adding that it is hoped more partners will step up and join forces in these endeavors. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Every Jamaican has the right to know what is happening in Parliament, to know when new laws are being passed, and to give their opinions on legislation before either house.
Every Jamaican has the right to see their representatives in action, making laws, holding the executive to account, representing the people, working for the benefit of all Jamaicans.
It is your right to observe first-hand meetings of the Senate, meetings of the House of Representatives, and the meetings of parliamentary committees. You may also take a tour of your parliament.
To find out more about the Houses of Parliament, please call 876-922-0200, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, or visit our website at www.japarliament.gov.jm.
Up next, the Jamaica Customs Agency talks about measures being taken to secure our borders and services being streamlined for efficiency. The details on Finance Matters.
The Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA, has seized dozens of firearms and thousands of rounds of ammunition over the last few years. How were they able to do this? In matters of law enforcement, it is normal to rely on multiple key stakeholders to protect the country's borders. The JCA is, however, tasked with the equitable collection of revenue and protection of Jamaica's borders against illicit imports and the facilitation of trade. But how is the JCA improving its trade facilitation efforts while also protecting the country's borders? Hi, I am Shaquille Rochester Shorter and welcome to Finance Matters. Today I will be speaking with Mr. Kingsley Henry, Director of Cargo Imaging and Security at the Jamaica Customs Agency, about trade management and border protection. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the Ministry of Finance on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn to see all the episodes and highlights. Mr. Henry, thanks for joining us today. What is customs duty?
When you think about custom duties, you'll be thinking about all the taxes and fees that are levied on imports and exports, right? But those taxes are broken down into individual pieces. So you'll have the import duty, and that import duty is based on what we call the harmonized commodity coding and description system, commonly called a tariff. So if you go on the customs website and you go on trade and you click on the drop down, you'll see what we call the integrated tariff, and that has all the commodities that you can think about that one may want to import. There is a code that is assigned to it, and you will see the customs import duties and all the other related taxes that are levied against that particular commodity.
So that's customs duty.
So all of those would comprise custom duties, right?
So in terms of the Jamaica Customs Agency, what waivers are available to the ordinary person?
You know, and that is a conception or misconception that a lot of people have. And they think, and they come to customs and say, customs, what waiver can you grant? But there's a technicality there, because waivers are granted by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.
Okay.
But on the flip side of that, on the other side, there are exemptions that are available to various sectors. So the government would have reformed the incentives and waiver structure with the omnibus incentives legislation in 2014. And coming out of that, you have different sectors like the healthcare sector, hotel and tourism, the manufacturing sector, the creative industries, particularly music and film, that can get particular exemptions. And information about that type of exemption is also available on our website, but also available on the Ministry of Finance's website and the various ministries, departments, and agencies that have responsibilities for these areas.
To be clear, I, as an ordinary Jamaican, there are no waivers available for me?
I wish, as an ordinary Jamaican, if your granny or your auntie said you're a barrel, I wish there's some waiver, but there isn't for the ordinary, right? But however, a few years ago, the Ministry and Jamaica Customs, in their wisdom, decided, for example, to introduce a flat rate that is applicable to barrels, because you would understand that the barrel trade is a big part of the importation trade for us here in Jamaica. And so if you are importing a barrel with, let's say, regular grocery items, a few items of clothing, and other small household and personal effects, then the general duty rate that is applied to that will be 6,500 plus an applicable customs processing administrative fee.
So what should Jamaicans bear in mind when they're importing goods?
Well, one of the things we want to say to Jamaicans, there's no need to fear customs, right? Because a lot of persons have fear of customs. There's a fear of paying taxes, there's a fear of the interaction. But your best friend when you're importing is information, right? So, for example, if you are going to be importing something, you want to find out beforehand, do I need a license? Do I need a permit, right? And if I need a license or a permit, one of the things you have to be sure is to get the license and permit before the item arrive in Jamaica.
Okay.
Because if you don't do that, then you'll see a side of customs that you don't like, which is the enforcement side, which is levying fines for breach of the regulations relating to importing items without licenses and permits. And then in addition to that, you want to find out what are the applicable customs duty rate. We spoke about customs duties already. What are those rates? Go onto the website and find out if I'm shipping or importing clothing, what is the duty rate? If I'm doing jewelry, what is the duty rate? If I'm doing toys or something, what is the duty rate? And if you have that information, it makes it easier for you. And if you get invoices when you make your purchases overseas, please supply those invoices to customs. If you are using an agent, a freight forwarding agent, or you're using a custom broker, provide them with the correct information so that they can make an accurate declaration to customs. When that is done, the process is seamless both for our officials, but more so for you, the importing public.
Okay, so quickly tell us about the process for importing a motor vehicle or motorcycle.
And that's a common question as well, right? One of the things that we want to say to the public, that there's no shortcut, right? Because sometimes there are people out there who may be advertising that there's a shortcut where, that we can get. So
there's none.
There's no shortcut, right? So to import a automobile or a motorcycle, what is required is that you have to get a import license from the trade board.
Okay.
And you must get that license before the car arrives in Jamaica. But the government also instituted a few years ago that there is a requirement for a pre-inspection that must be done in the country of export.
Okay.
So that pre-inspection has to be done and you have to get that pre-inspection certificate. You also have to get a title or an export certificate from the country where the car is coming from. And very importantly, you cannot clear a car yourself as an individual.
Okay.
You need the services of a licensed customs broker to effect clearance on your behalf. So if you have any doubts and you have any questions, there's information available by the trade board, by customs website, and if you have any doubt, engage a licensed customs broker from early in the process, and they can walk you through and advise you in terms of what you need to ensure that you have a seamless experience when it comes to importing motor vehicles.
All right, so we spoke about bringing in barrels, motor vehicles, etc.
Right.
But what is there implemented at Jamaica Customs Agency to stop or prohibit illegal items from entering the country?
I mean, our CEO, I don't think would be very happy, Mrs. Velmarikis Walker, if I didn't start by saying you'd have seen in the news media recently where Jamaica Customs acquired a boat, the Enforcer 1, right?
Yes.
And we use that in our maritime surveillance. One of the things that Jamaica Customs has done over the last few years is that we have established in partnership with the JCF marine bases around the island to help us in that maritime surveillance of our unofficial ports. But when it comes to the official ports, one of the things that we place a great emphasis on is the use of risk assessment. So we have systems in place at Jamaica Customs where we're gathering information through intelligence and through our automated system for customs data. And then we are running those information and we're developing risk criteria, we're developing profile, and we're setting those profile in our system so that the persons who are importing or the businesses, the majority of which are compliant, will get an easier way through the system and we can focus on those who are not so compliant. We're also embarking on modernizing our non-intrusive inspection program. Everything that comes into Jamaica.
Explain that to me.
So everything that comes into Jamaica, we have a policy. The national policy is that everything must be scanned.
Okay.
So every shipping container, every piece of equipment that comes through, every barrel is scanned, right? And one of the things that we're doing, we are modernizing the scanners. So we are in the process of acquiring, in partnership with the Port Authority of Jamaica, new up-to-date modern X-ray scanners. And what that will do, it allow us as well to focus on the higher risk cargo.
Okay.
And so if we scan and we don't see anything of particular interest, it makes life easier for you as an importer.
And more efficient.
And more efficient, because it means that our officers can spend less time doing physical inspection.
Yes.
But we do the non-intrusive inspection, but at the same time, there's a whole lot of physical inspection that takes place at JCA. We're building out a K9 program. We're building out our intelligence and our risk management program. So there's a lot that is being done, and we're getting a lot of support from our international partners. We have a very close working relationship with UK Border Force, with US Customs and Border Protection Agency, with the Canadians. We are getting a lot of assistance to build capacity within our agency to make us more effective in protecting the Jamaican people.
So quickly tell us where Jamaicans can find more information to access the services offered by Customs.
Jamaica Customs, like the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, is available in the social media space. So we are on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. And you can visit Jamaica Customs website at jacustoms.gov.jm. If you have direct questions, you can send those questions to public.relations@jca.gov.jm, and also quick.response, right, at jca.gov.jm. And our numbers are 876-922-5140, and it goes up to 8. And if you use any of those means, you will get to the correct individuals within the agency who will be able to address your query. And if you don't get to us, we have freight forwarding agents, we have custom brokers that work in partnership with us that can provide valuable information.
Thank you for coming on our program and sharing with us the operations of the Jamaica Customs Agency. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Finance Matters. Remember to follow us on social media at MOF Jamaica, and tune in next week as we continue to demystify the economic and fiscal policies and initiatives implemented by the government to empower Jamaicans as we chart a path to Jamaica's economic prosperity.
Have an illegal gun or know someone who does? The gun amnesty program begins November 5 to 19. Surrender the guns to the nearest police station, the FLA, or a lawyer. Your identity will be protected.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We are approaching the time of year when we tend to go hard on the spending. But hold that break for a while and take in these few suggestions on how to manage your wealth.
My presentation today is on getting the best bang for your budget. Budgeting, simply defined, is creating a plan to spend your money. Good budgeting, however, is ensuring that you're spending less than you earn. I know budgeting can be hard. You make a budget and you find it difficult to stick to it, but it's one of the best ways to keep track of where your money is going every month, and then you can identify what changes you need to make in order to reach your financial goals. When making your budget should include things like your needs, your wants, your savings, your investments, and your emergency fund. So typically what we're saying is that your money monthly should be going towards savings, your bills and utilities, your insurance, and your emergency fund. You also would want to ensure that when you're making your budget, you give every dollar a job and keep track of your spending. Keep a financial journal if necessary. This will help to keep you on track, and you can record and identify the things that you're actually spending your money on. So, one of the first things you'd want to do when you're creating your budget is create a financial plan, and it will help you to map out the actions that you need to take towards achieving these goals. And please ensure that you put your short-term as well as your long-term goals in your financial plan. After you've created your financial plan, then you'd want to identify all your streams of income. Your streams of income is not only your 9 to 5, and that's a mistake that a lot of us make. What about your other passive incomes? What about the earnings you make from your skills? You might be getting an inheritance. You might be getting an annuity. You might be the type of person to buy and sell things. You have to account for every single dollar you make. And likewise, if you're going to account for all your earnings, you'll also have to account for all your monthly expenses. And your monthly expenses is not only your utility bills. A lot of times we neglect to include the other things that we have to spend on. Sometimes the simple things like our personal care, your groceries, your hair care, your wants. Some of us have things that we have to do to maintain our mental health. Include those things in your budget. All things must be accounted for, so you identify where all your income is coming from and you identify all your expenses. So now, let's uncover some of those bad financial habits that are wrecking our financial future. And while it's easy to identify some of our big expenditures, sometimes it's uncovering some of those smaller, more sneakier daily expenses that will save you a lot of money in the long run. My first question to you is, are you paying your bills on time? Paying your bill late comes with penalty fees, and these fees add up. Implementing the right debt payoff strategy, you can pay off your debt quickly, end up saving more, and you end up having more money towards your other financial goals. Prioritize paying off your debts. Things that we tend to let slip through as well. Most banks have a charge that is associated with going to the ATM. Not to mention, if you decide that you're going to use another bank's ATM because it's more convenient, then you end up paying 2-3 times the amount. So you have to keep a close eye on your money, guys. You have to keep track of these fees. Cutting out unnecessary expenses will actually help you to save a lot of money each month. So let's quickly talk about some of the money habits that we need to develop. Pay yourself first. Take out money for your savings. Put it in an investment account if you have to. Have a separate bank account, but pay yourself first. Build up on your retirement fund. Increase your deductions. This will not only help you to put more money towards your retirement saving, but it also reduces your taxable income. And try to make it at least the amount that your employer will match. That's like getting free money. Who doesn't want free money, right? Save for the future. Saying things like YOLO or FOMO can make you feel like you need to spend all your money now. But there needs to be a balance. Enjoy your life now, but be sure that you're saving money for the future and working diligently towards your goals. Live below your means. If you're spending more than you earn, at some point, you're going to have to require credit to cover the rest. If you find yourself having to get credit to pay for basic things, then you need to revisit what you're doing. To grow your money and create real wealth, you need to start investing. Invest your money and help to build up and secure your financial future. Last but not least, invest in a critical illness plan, guys. So I'll end by saying, not budgeting your money, combined with bad financial habits, not saving, can leave you vulnerable to unexpected emergencies, living from paycheck to paycheck, not to mention not having enough money for retirement. You can achieve your financial goals. It's just a matter of prioritizing, sticking to your budget, and tracking your spending.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service. the voice of Jamaica.